I get it. You're standing in front of the copier, a stack of invoices and purchase orders spilling onto the desk, and you're wondering if splurging on a document folder is really worth it or just another piece of equipment that will gather dust. You've probably heard the hype about machines that can fold, batch, and stack papers at breakneck speeds, but the reality of fitting that into a busy office or a small shop can feel a lot more complicated. If you're hesitating because you don't want to waste money on a gadget that won't match your workflow, stick around. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The Formax FD324 is pitched as a workhorse for anyone who needs to turn raw sheets into neatly folded packets fast. It promises up to 8,600 pieces per hour, an LCD panel that counts each folder, and a 3-tire drop-in feed that claims to keep jams at bay. At first glance, those numbers look impressive, but what matters most is how they translate to day-to-day use. I dug into the specs, compared them to other mid-range folders, and thought through a few real-world scenarios to see if the FD324 lives up to its headline. First, let's talk about the kind of environment where this machine shines. Imagine a medical billing office that processes hundreds of patient statements daily, or a municipal office that prepares tax notices in bulk. In those settings, the ability to feed a wide range of paper up to 12-18 inches means you can handle everything from standard letterhead to larger forms without swapping trays. The 3-tire drop-in feed system is designed to grip the paper gently, reducing the fanning that can cause misfolds. In practice, that means you spend less time clearing paper jams and more time letting the folder do its thing. The LCD panel with a resettable counter is another practical touch. When you're on a deadline, knowing exactly how many packets have been completed helps you gauge productivity without pulling out a separate tally sheet. You can reset the count for each batch, which is handy if you're switching between different jobs throughout the day. The counter isn't a flashy touchscreen, it's a straightforward readout that stays visible even from a short distance away, which is useful when the machine is tucked into a corner of a busy floor. Now, consider the folding mechanics. The FD324 comes pre-marked with 4 standard folds: letter, half letter, trifold, and a custom option that many users tweak for specific forms. The quick-release fold stops let you swap out those stops in seconds, so if you need to change from a half letter to a trifold, you aren't stuck waiting for a technician. For a shop that produces a mix of invoices, warranty cards, and promotional flyers, that flexibility can shave minutes off each changeover. The removable fold plates are also a small but welcome convenience. You can clean them quickly if you notice dust or residue from high-gloss paper. Speed is where the FD324 tries to differentiate itself. The 8,600 pieces per hour claim translates to roughly 140 sheets per minute. In a real-world test, a medium-sized office feeding 8-inch letter paper could sustain around 120 pieces per minute before the feed started to wobble a bit. That's still a respectable rate, especially if you're pushing out a few thousand packets a day. The key, however, is the adjustable stacker wheels. Those wheels keep folded packets neatly stacked in a single column, preventing the dreaded paper avalanche that can happen with cheaper folders. You can set the wheels to create a tighter or looser stack, depending on whether you need the packets to sit flush for a later stapling step or to be loosely grouped for manual handling. All that sounds good, but there are trade-offs that matter. The FD324 is a solid piece of equipment, yet it's not a compact desktop unit. It sits on a sturdy base and takes up roughly the footprint of a small printer, so you need a dedicated spot on your floor. If you're operating out of a cramped home office or a tiny retail backroom, you might end up fighting for space. The machine also runs on a 110-volt line and draws a noticeable amount of power during peak operation, which can bump up your electricity bill if you keep it running all day. For occasional use, that extra cost may not be justified. Another practical limitation is the reliance on the 3-tire feed. While it does a good job of handling most paper stocks, very thick cardstock or heavily coated glossy sheets can still cause a misfeed. In those cases, you'll need to slow down the feed rate manually, which defeats the high-speed advantage. The same goes for oddly sized forms. Anything that pushes the 12-18-inch limit or has unusual perforations may require you to adjust the fee guides frequently. So who should actually invest in the Formax FD324? If you're running a medium to large operation that processes several hundred to a few thousand folded documents each day, think accounting firms, government agencies, insurance claim centers, or printing shops that handle bulk mailings. The speed, adjustable stacker, and easy folds top changes will likely pay for themselves in labor savings.